Well, a very good evening to everyone here. I think it started somewhere when I was a very small child, and it began with my mother, I think. My mother's been a big influence on me, and I'll narrate an incident of my life which stayed with me all along, and that's I used to play a lot of tennis when I was a kid, and competitive tennis, state level, national level. I was pretty good at that time. And she knew how anxious I was about the game, how much I loved the game. And every time I had a match, she'd be waiting for me to come home. And when I would come home, she'd ask me, did you win? Did you lose? Uh, Usually I would win, so my answer would be I won. Uh, and then after about 5 minutes, the first time she did it, it really shook me. After about 5 minutes, she would come and say to me, the boy who lost to you today, he would have reached home about now, and his mom would have asked him the same question. And he would have said he lost. So his mother must be feeling really bad right now. And the first time she said that to me, it like really hit me. I mean, her ability to think for another, a woman she's never seen, never met, really hit home to me. And I don't think she was meaning to tell me or teach me anything. That's just how she is. And I think a lot of what I am is a result of her. I think the second person who's been a big influence on me is my friend Satyajit Bhatkal, who happens to be the director of the show. Satya and I were in school together. He was a topper in the class. I was the backbencher. And he was brilliant, so he had the world at his feet. He could do what he wanted. But after we passed out, he decided to work for other people. So he didn't become an engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant, which he could have been, or an MBA, whatever he wanted. He decided to spend his life, working for people who were less privileged than he was. I got into films and got into acting, and my career took off, and I was... So each time I would meet him, I'd feel really guilty. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was doing what I loved doing. But every time I met him, I used to feel, man, this guy is living for others, and I wish I could do half of what he's doing. And that kept troubling me. So I think a lot of all this finally resulted in what happened as SMJ, Satyameva Jayate. Television also grew strong in India at that time. And I reached a point in my career where I had earned a fair amount of goodwill, and I kept thinking that how can I contribute? You wake up in the morning, you read the papers, and you read about injustice, you read about poverty, you read about people who are less privileged than you, and you want to really do something about it. I think most of us feel that way, and we don't know what to do. And I felt that for a number of years. And then I realized that I should do what I know best, and which is storytelling. And I should use the strength of storytelling to try and change minds and try and, enrich perhaps the discussion on certain issues that we face as a society. And I saw that no one's really doing it on that kind of a scale, on a public platform. And I thought if I combine the strength of TV with the goodwill that I've earned, and we try and actually combine journalism, investigative journalism, and storytelling. So we really research each topic and then bring it to the country of India and share what we have learned with the people and hope that we can transform minds, hearts. I always felt that there are two ways of bringing about change. One is top-down, when you make laws and you tell people to follow them, or you make policies and you expect people to follow them. And the other way, and sometimes it works, but sometimes, a lot of times it doesn't. I think the other way is a longer route, but I think that is what we have chosen to do. And that is to reach out to people's hearts. Not with anger, but with love. And try and transform minds at a young age. Yeah.
Now, that was your first show. That is not an easy topic. What triggered you to choose this one?
Well, I'm not quite sure why we chose this one in particular, but I felt that initially we had researched 4 topics. One was female feticide, and one was public health. The other was child sexual abuse. And so for some reason, I think we instinctively stuck with female feticide as our first episode. I also feel it's a huge problem in India, first of all, and it also connects with people on a very gut level. We chose to put the show forward not as a woman's problem, but as a mother's problem. You see, what we try to do is when we get the information that we have, we try and put it to people in a manner that, gets them emotionally. So I don't start the show by saying, today we're going to talk about female feticide. I start the show by saying, I've often asked people who the most important person in their lives is, and usually people say my mother, and I feel the same. And I talk about motherhood and get people into a certain emotional state. And then I say, well, let's take a look at how we're treating our mothers today. And we meet our first guest, who is a mother who's been through 8 abortions in 6 years, forced abortions by her mother-in-laws and husband. And so when you're looking at her and you're hearing her story, you're looking at a mother and what a mother goes through, and then, of course, what a woman goes through when she's, forced to go through an abortion. So I think that kind of really got people. The first episode itself has a very strong emotional connect, is what we felt. And that's why I think we chose female feticide as our first episode. And you'll be happy to know that, in 2011 was when the episode aired. And before that, the census that was carried out had a certain numbers. It was, the national average was 914 girl childs against 1,000 boys born every year. And it was sliding. Is sliding alarmingly, and certain states like Rajasthan and other states, Maharashtra, were very bad. 890, 880, per 1,000 boys. You'll be pleased to know that these 2 states have revealed their numbers today after 3 years, Rajasthan and Maharashtra. And in both these states, the ratio has gone up by 50 to 60 points. So it's now around 950 to 1,000 boys.
Wow, wow, wow.
And I believe it's a combination of the show, which is reaching out to millions of people and talking to them, emotionally. And it's also the governments, the Rajasthan government and the state government of Maharashtra really acted very, very dynamically. And it's a result of all of this, I think. And people actually reacting to it and deciding that they don't want to do this anymore, a lot of them.
Now, it is illegal in India.
Well, abortion is legal, but sex-selective abortion is illegal. And that itself is strange. I mean, in the US, I don't think there's a law in which you cannot ask your doctor what the sex of the baby is going to be. Because in the US, the doctor doesn't expect you to go and abort the child if it's a girl. So you don't need a law over here which tells you that. So in India, we have a law where you cannot ask the doctor what the sex of the child is. And the doctor is not allowed to tell you. So both the doctor and the parents could be in jail if they ask the question and that question is answered. Now this law is actually, it tells us what we are. This law is needed for us, unfortunately. Otherwise, in other societies, you don't need this as a law.
Usually you celebrate. I have a girl.
Yeah. There's another law we have in India where as a criminal, you can't stand for elections. You need a law for that. I mean, it's sad. What I'm saying is sad. It's like black humor, because if a criminal stands for elections anywhere in the world, he won't get a single vote. But in India, we have to have a law, because as Indians, we've in the past seen that we do end up voting for criminals. So we need to have a law which tells us you can't stand for elections if you're a criminal. So you see, these laws actually tell us also a lot about what we are. Contextualize it for people who live here in the US. I would imagine about 90 to 95% of people in India have either given dowry or taken dowry or both. Mm-hmm. So when you're communicating to the huge majority of the country and telling them that what they have been indulging in perhaps is not the best thing to do, and most probably the TV that they're watching your show on has also come in dowry.